Did you hear the news? Metro PCS is now Metro by T-Mobile. Now you get new plans with unlimited high-speed data all month long, all on the T-Mobile network. Check out the new Metro by T-Mobile today and discover the smarter way to get unlimited. Metro by T-Mobile. That's genius. During congestion, the fraction of customers using greater than 35 gigs per month may notice reduced speeds, and Metro customers may notice reduced speeds versus some T-Mobile customers. Video streams at 480p. Coverage not available in some areas. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Welcome to the Enhancement Talent Podcast.
Any man with two hands has a fighting chance.
You're only half the man that I am, and I have half the brain that you do.
What?
You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son.
What?
I'm not ready for you.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hello everyone, back and better than ever. Welcome to the Enhancement Talent Podcast. Wherever you may be, however you may be listening, we appreciate you stopping by. I am your host, Brock Fluker, and I am joined by Chris Kirby.
The unprofessional one.
Yes. Well, we were all unprofessional in the last few weeks because we did not have any podcasts up. Because we both had to evacuate our homes due to Hurricane Florence. So, if that constitutes as unprofessional, then we do apologize. But we will be back here now, hopefully every week on a consistent basis. Got a lot to get into today. We're going to run down the old news on Hell in a Cell, briefly recap that. And we'll get into the Raw and SmackDown reviews for this week. Hell in a Cell. That was a thing that happened, Chris.
I saw that one time.
Yeah. It feels like forever ago at this point, honestly. But Hell in a Cell, top to bottom, I thought it delivered what I ultimately could have asked. Almost every match, I thought, delivered. Except for maybe two. But other than that, top to bottom, good wrestling, good stuff from the show.
Yeah, definitely a good show. Not the greatest, but definitely not the best.
Right, and it's one of those sort of like B pay-per-views where it kind of sneaks up on you that it could actually be pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not a big show, but when you look at the card,
there's some good matches going on.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to mess up a card this good, but it's WWE, so you never know.
That's for sure.
But we'll get into the matches, give some brief thoughts. We don't have any notes, so we're going purely on memory, which I'm sure neither of us have a lot of.
Nope.
But the show kicked off, somewhat surprisingly, I guess, with the Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton match.
Okay, I remember that match a little.
Yeah, so this was really one of my favorite matches on the show. Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton in the Hell in a Cell, and this was a pretty brutal match. And the main thing I remember is that there was one spot where Jeff sets a chair on top of Randy Orton's chest, and he goes up for the Swanton Bomb. And he hits it on the chair that's on Orton, but the leg of the chair, and I'm not sure how many people noticed that this is how that happened, but the leg of the chair dug into Randy Orton's leg, and he was bleeding from his leg, but you could literally see the skin and everything hanging off of Orton's leg after that.
I didn't catch that.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty brutal.
Well, that's what he gets for the finger in the ear.
Yeah. So Jeff tried to. We all knew that Jeff had to do something crazy off the cell, right?
Oh yeah,
but
definitely.
He did it in a way that I didn't necessarily expect.
Yeah, I've seen it before, but I didn't expect it this time.
So he has Orton set up on the table, and then he sets up two ladders, one shorter than the other, and he climbs the short one. And then he just gets on top of the taller one anyway, so I'm not sure what the point of that was. But he hangs from the railing at the top of the cell and starts swinging back and forth like he's a 5th grader on the monkey bars as Randy Orton's laying on the table. And Randy Orton moves, and then 2 seconds later, Jeff falls off and falls through the table.
We had to make sure Orton was out of the way.
Yeah, it didn't look particularly great because of that, but I understand the safety of it. There is a bit of a disappointment, though, because this could have literally been the greatest RKO of all time.
Oh, that would have been...
If Orton catches him as he's going down through the table.
Oh, that would have been great.
That would have topped the Seth Rollins one at WrestleMania where they did the curb stomp and Seth is a good, 5 feet in the air, it felt like.
Okay.
And then there was the other one, Evan Bourne, back in the day when Evan Bourne did the shooting star press and Orton caught him in the RKO.
Yeah, that was great too.
I feel like that would have topped both of those.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
So after Hardy goes through the tables, the ref calls for EMTs and such, as if he's trying to call off the match. And Orton just covers Jeff, and the ref doesn't want to count, but Orton just tells him to do his job, and the referee counts, and it's over. Jeff Hardy gets stretchered out. The end.
But Orton was in the right in this one because the ref never threw up the X. So technically the match was still going.
I don't feel like, and we'll talk about this with the main event, but a Hell in a Cell match should not end by no contest in the first place.
I agree.
So then we had Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler defending the Raw Tag Team titles against Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose in what I probably thought was the match of the night for this show. And I don't remember a ton from it, but it was filled with false finishes there at the end, lots of near falls and kickouts that really had you on the edge of your seat waiting to see what would happen. They built up a sort of big fight feel with Drew McIntyre and Dean Ambrose when they got in the ring and stared each other down. The crowd was going crazy for that. And then they just had a match on Raw, I think, the next night, and that was pretty much it. And Drew and Dolph retain here.
Big shock.
Yeah. Not much else to say about that. It was a good match. I can't even remember what the finish was, though. I'm sorry.
I know who won.
Yeah. So next on my list, I have what I thought was, well, I guess I can't say it's the worst match because we'll get to the worst match on the show in the main event. But this wasn't very good.
No, this was far from good.
Brie Bella and Daniel Bryan going up against The Miz and Maurice in a mixed tag match. And I just gotta say that the involvement of Brie Bella and Maurice in this feud is pretty unwarranted.
Yeah.
I feel like you could have built more with just Daniel Bryan and The Miz, and this ultimately just felt like a stopgap to try to move forward with the Miz and Bryan feud instead of an actual meaningful chapter in it.
Well, I think it's two things. The mixed match challenge, it sets it up for that.
Well, yeah, but these guys and girls aren't in that.
I thought Bryan and Brie were.
Are they?
I thought they were. I might be wrong.
I don't feel like they are.
I didn't see the bracket yet, so.
I don't think they are, but I could be wrong. So, Miz and Maurice won this match by some sort of dirty tactic. I can't even really recall what they did, but I think that
did she have Brie's tights?
Brie got distracted by something on the outside, and then Maurice rolled up Brie, had the tights, and got the win. But this is really, and the match at SummerSlam with Daniel Bryan and Miz wasn't great either.
No.
I thought it was okay, but it wasn't great. And the crowd was pretty dead for it, I remember.
Which is surprising, being the two competitors.
Yeah. Yeah, it just comes down to the circumstances. Like in that SummerSlam, it was such a long show and so many matches.
Yeah.
So, next, we had Charlotte defending the SmackDown Women's title against Becky Lynch.
Thank God, a good match.
Yeah, this was good. Becky has been built up as a heel, most people would say. And I'll get into this more on the SmackDown review, but I've really liked what Becky's been doing lately. I think that people try to look too deep into things that a lot of people are upset that Becky is portrayed as a heel when everyone wants to cheer her. But I would argue that she's put in the position for her to be cheered. And if WWE really did not want you to cheer her, they would find a way. And
oh yeah.
And they would not give her the stuff that she's been doing if they did not want you to cheer her.
Well, look at it. She's a heel being cheered. She's no different than Braun Strowman.
Yeah. That's true. That's just 2018 wrestling, really.
Yeah, welcome to our wrestling days.
So, Becky does get the win in this match.
Finally.
I don't think she tapped Charlotte out. I'm pretty sure did she get a roll-up or something?
I don't remember.
I feel like she...
Yeah, I don't think she tapped her out.
I'm pretty sure she won by pinfall, probably on a roll-up.
Probably.
Which, kind of flat, but being that it was Becky winning the title, I can't say that it was. And Becky got a huge ovation here.
And it hasn't stopped yet.
No. Everybody loves Becky.
No matter what she does to Flair, everybody loves her.
Yep. So we had Ronda Rousey defending the Raw Women's title that she won at SummerSlam.
Did you know how this was going to go?
I was pretty confident in this one.
I really thought Bliss was going to just whip her around the ring.
You know, the funny thing is that she kind of did for a minute.
She did for a minute, yeah. I like how they did that, though.
I'm kind of confused, though, because if you remember the last time that we were here, it was on the show that was on the Raw, before Hell in a Cell. And I was ranting about how Alexa, Mickey, and Alicia had Ronda Rousey 3-on-1, and they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So then on the Go Home show, they kind of attack her ribs.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the week before that, they were attacking her knee. So it was kind of odd that they just switched that, I guess.
Random body part.
But I don't know. I felt like in both cases you needed a more vicious beatdown angle, because really all Alexa did in the post-match on that Raw was just kick Ronda in the ribs, and that was it. So I felt like you could have gotten more heat on that and try to give Alexa a better chance in the Hell in a Cell match. Ronda was great here, as she always is. I love Ronda so much, and her selling in this match was great.
Yes, it was.
She genuinely looked like she was gasping for air because of her ribs, and was just selling that so well. And I guess that comes with just her being in combat sports, is that now that she's in the pro wrestling world, when she's selling an injury, she's probably selling it based on experience on what that injury actually feels like.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, so that's why I'm sure that she really her wrestling and everything just seems so different. And different in a good way from most people on WWE.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we had another great match here with Samoa Joe and AJ Styles for the WWE Championship.
Oh, yeah.
AJ Styles defending the title that he's had for well over a year now, I think.
Has it been that long?
Well, maybe not. I think it's right at a year.
Wow. I'm not dogging him. He makes a good champion.
So, I can't remember the stats, but I remember seeing someone on Reddit post a stat about AJ Styles that so many of it was an alarming number of his championship matches that have ended with either screwy finishes or non-finishes.
Yeah.
So, I feel like that's really, and, there was the one just last SummerSlam with Samoa Joe where he got disqualified because Joe was setting him off the edge.
Yeah, taunting him.
Yeah, and his wife and his kid and all that. And with this one, they had another really good physical match, I thought. And the finish was that Joe puts AJ in the Coquina Clutch, and he tries to pull him down to get him to the mat, but AJ rolls over it so that he has Joe's shoulders to the mat, while Joe still has the choke locked in, and the ref counts, and originally it's you don't see this because it's on the other side of the hard cam. But at 2, AJ taps on Samoa Joe's shoulder or his chest or whatever, and Joe gets up and he thinks he's won. And a lot of the reviews I listened to said that Joe realized that he didn't win when the ring announcer made the announcement. But if you actually watch it back, Joe's reaction of just despair after he realizes he lost came as soon as he hears AJ Styles music playing. Yeah. As soon as he hears that, he's like, no, I won.
Yeah.
And so the referee didn't see it, the decision stood, and I really liked Corey Graves here on commentary because he simply pointed out, as AJ Styles, who also sold this great, as he holds the championship, but he looks like he's practically out on his feet, just stumbling around with it. And Corey just said, look at Joe and look at AJ and tell me who the winner of this match was.
Yeah.
And that just really fit that story that they told, that AJ escaped with the title here. We'll get into more of the Samoa Joe and AJ Styles happening when we get into the SmackDown review. But we had the main event, which was Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman.
And of course, everybody was going for Strowman.
In a Hell in a Cell match. And I totally forgot that Mick Foley was the special referee until just a few minutes ago.
Oh.
And there was one spot early on where Braun does a chokeslam, and Mick Foley counts 3, and then Roman kicks out.
I saw that.
So I'm not sure if that was on Roman or on Mick.
Miscommunication somewhere.
But I feel like it's really more on Roman for not kicking out. But this match, I'm not just saying nothing happened because I don't remember it. I'm saying nothing happened because nothing happened in this match until we got into the end and the shenanigans and all that.
Yeah, that's pretty much right.
So, eventually, the two Roman and Braun's counterparts, Roman, the Shield, and Braun with Drew and Dolph, eventually they start coming out. And I think it was Drew and Dolph that were trying to get in the cell.
Yeah.
And before this happens, Roman spears Braun through a table that is set up in the corner. And so they're both down. And Drew, Dean, Seth, and Dolph all have a brawl on the outside. And eventually they all wind up on the top of the cell. And Drew and Dean may still be on the top of that cell because they never came down.
Yeah, they never showed them come down.
But Seth and Dolph fought on the side of the cell, and they both were hitting each other back and forth. And this felt kind of contrived a little bit in how they did it, but they both end up going through 2 announcers' tables, 1 for each. It just seems so weird because it was so weird for Seth to just fall after he hits Dolph.
Yeah.
Because Dolph punches him, and then Seth punches him, and then they both fall at the same time through the tables. Well, which thankfully were cleared. There were no monitors on them or anything, so that was nice. But it wasn't obviously from the top of the cell, but it was a good, like, halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way up.
Yeah.
But then we get into the return of Brock Lesnar.
Which, before Brock even makes an entrance, you have to note that both competitors are still
Yes.
down.
And this table must have been made of cement.
It's been like 7 minutes now.
It felt like they were laying there for 30 minutes.
Yeah, but the whole time everybody on the outside was fighting, these 2 were just laying there.
They're just laying on the ground. Dead.
They're just, looking up at the action, looking over at the action. Just, when do I go?
So Brock runs down the aisleway, and there's dudes trying to stop him from. I think Heyman is trying to ask the referee on the outside for the key.
Yeah. And
Braun's just like, I don't need no key.
Brock
Kicks the door off the hinges. And then he like sets the door up so it's leaning against the ropes, and then he just runs up the door to get into the ring.
Yeah.
I like that. Paul Heyman hits Mick Foley with pepper spray in the eyes.
Which doesn't really make sense. I mean, it's Mick Foley.
Well, it was really just that he was the referee.
Yeah.
And I guess Brock just wanted to cause chaos. So, Braun, I keep doing that. His name's Brock. Brock picks up one of the broken bits of the table, which, as we've covered, is made of cement.
Yeah.
And he whacks Braun and Roman with them a bit.
Several times.
And then he F5s Strowman. And then he F5s Roman, with Roman landing on Strowman's legs, because Brock really does not care where you land.
And there was so much crap in the ring, he had nowhere else to land.
He will throw you wherever he wants. And so when he did this, I thought the finish of this match was going to be that, Brock just happens to F5 Roman onto Strowman. And then a ref comes out and counts the pinfall.
Yeah.
Which really would have been a better finish than what happened.
At least it would have been a finish.
Yeah. So what happened was Brock finally leaves, and
that's it.
The referees... Did refs come out, or did it just end?
I think it just ended.
No, I think there were some referees that were coming out to check on them, and it ended abruptly. Like, we didn't even get, like, an announcement of anything or anything.
No.
There was no one saying that the match is over. And that was it.
Well, the announcers couldn't talk. Their table was taken out.
Well, I think the reason that they end so abruptly is that I'm sure that once this really set in for the crowd, that they were booing this heavily. So I feel like maybe they just wanted to cut out that reaction before it happened.
I wouldn't doubt it, because I know I was booing.
Yeah. So, what was your reaction when Brock Lesnar came back?
Disappointed. I mean, nothing against the guy. He's great at what he does.
Yeah.
He does not need to be in the title picture with WWE.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to hopefully after, and we'll get into it in the Raw review, after Crown Jewel, where I'm assuming Brock won't win, and then you can just have Brock doing money fights, basically, against whoever you want to put him against.
Yeah, just, big events like WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, just like that. Don't give him a title. He's not around enough to defend it. We've been through that. Just pay him a bunch of money, let him come in and win, and we'll see him again in 6 months.
Right. And that was the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Pretty good show, as I said at the start. Just infuriating ending.
Yes.
Where they've been celebrating the 20-year anniversary of Mick Foley's Hell in a Cell match against The Undertaker.
That's a disappointment.
And in that match, Mick Foley is thrown off the top of the cell through a table. He's chokeslammed through the cell to the mat with his tooth up his nose and everything.
Well, that came from the chair landing on him.
Yeah. And that match still had a finish.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns got F5'd once, and that was too much for them to continue.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
It's just such a lazy finish.
I've seen Ellsworth take more.
Having Braun get pins there after that assault, it doesn't hurt him. It gives you at least a finish.
Yeah.
I would have enjoyed it more had they just finished the match. This just made it look too soft, is what I'm going to use the word.
Yeah, you're right.
But we will move on into this week's WWE Raw. So, Raw opens with a limo. The old who's going to come out of the limo trick.
But we always know who it is nowadays. It's one of two people. And
it's always either Stephanie or Triple H.
And this time
it was both. So Corbin opens the door for Stephanie, who walks out. And Stephanie buries Baron Corbin a bit. And Stephanie is... I guess it's not restricted just to baby faces that Stephanie buries. She'll bury heels too.
Apparently.
She basically says that Baron has not done a good job as acting general manager. She says that it was ill-advised for Corbin to put himself in the main event against Roman Reigns for the Universal title. And she turned babyface there for me because I was like, yeah, that match sucked.
Yes, it did. Oh my God.
Baron, we didn't get to review last week's Raw, but Baron Corbin versus Roman Reigns is not exactly my ideal main event for any show.
It's not my ideal of a match on any show.
Yeah. So, Stephanie also tells Baron to get 2 partners and that he can face the Shield tonight. And she also, her big threat on Corbin was that if this continues, maybe Kurt Angle will have to come back from vacation sooner than expected.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh no. I'm shaking in my milk truck.
The milk truck. But out next is the Shield coming through the crowd. Roman, Seth, and Dean. They come down to the ring. Dean starts the promo. He says some stuff and then hands the mic to Rollins. Rollins calls out Corbin to have their match now. And Corbin comes out and he brings Strowman and Dolph and Drew with him. And I kind of groaned because I was like, if this is Baron's partners, I'm going to be so disappointed.
At least I wasn't the only one that thought that.
Yeah, because there were a lot of opportunities for someone else to really get a big match out of this. Mm-hmm. And they ended up doing that. And we'll get to the main event later.
Yeah.
But it's funny that during the show, it clicked in my head. I was like, you know who would be perfect for this?
That's what I was thinking. Too.
AOP.
Yeah, it's exactly
I would love if Baron brings out AOP.
Because you got to think though, who hasn't the Shield beaten?
Yeah,
on Raw,
and AOP is definitely someone who needs those sort of big matches
right now. Yeah, but we'll get to them in the main event.
Yeah, we'll get to them in the main event. Thankfully, Baron's partners were not Drew, Dolph, or Baron.
So
or,
what's their faction name? I'm getting tired of calling them Drew, Ziggler, and Strowman.
They called themselves the Dogs of War a few weeks ago.
So the Dogs of Justice, or the Hounds of Justice, the Dogs of War. I mean, oh my God.
That was basically their, and it was Braun Strowman saying that, which sounded so corny.
Well, come on now, he's the same one that came up with it. He's the big dog.
Man. So, Strowman says during this promo that at the Super Showdown, it's going to be the 4 of us versus the 2 of you. And, Seth kind of like jokes, like, I think your math's off there. And then Dolph starts cutting the promo after that. And he does a really good promo here about Dean being the odd man out in the Shield. And that both Seth and Roman are champions. Dean is not. And anytime that Seth or Roman need help, it's Dean that they call on.
Yeah.
But do they do the same for Dean? And they kind of made a big deal out of that, and that was cool because, you had the 2 instances. Seth needed someone in his back in the SummerSlam match against Dolph, and then Roman needed someone to stop Braun from cashing in, and Dean Ambrose was there for him.
Definitely brought up a good point.
Yeah, because there was also one good bit in when the Shield was doing their promo where they just say, like, I can't remember the exact line. It was like, we run this because we have these, and Seth and Roman hold up their titles.
Yeah.
While Dean is in the background, just behind them, just looking all sorts of pissed off.
I'm seeing a heel turn coming.
Yeah, no kidding, man. It's definitely coming.
Is it going to be
It's a matter of when.
He needs to at least give a chair to the back to Rollins.
Yes.
Just, for what happened before.
Continuity. So this led to a good show-long storyline of Drew and Dolph trying to poach Dean Ambrose. And, they said, Braun is going to take the WWE title at Super Showdown. Me and Drew are already the tag team champions.
Yeah.
If you come join us, that Intercontinental title, it'll be yours.
Think about it, that faction would have every title.
Yep.
At least on Raw.
So I think Rollins challenges them to just come in the ring and fight, but Corbin stops this, and that was the end of the segment.
Yeah.
All right, so up next we had the Mixed Match Challenge promotional match with Finn Balor with Bayley in his corner against Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox in his corner. And
I did think it was cool promoting the Mixed Match Challenge, bringing your partners to the ring.
It was cool because in the last season, I feel like they kind of just put Mixed Match Challenge to the side and didn't really continue any of those storylines on the main TV shows. So this was neat, I suppose.
It's a good way to start the season of Mixed Match Challenge.
Yeah, so Finn and Jinder are having the match, and at some point, Sunil Singh? That's Sunil, right?
Is it Sunil or Samil?
No, they're Sunil and Samir.
Okay, is it Sunil or...
I think
Sunil.
Samir is the one that's injured. Right?
Yeah, okay.
I believe. But
We'll just call him number one.
The Singh trips Balor as Balor's going for the running drop kick or whatever. So later on in the match, Bayley trips Jinder.
Yes, and I love that.
There's a little turnabout is fair play.
Yep.
So Sunil Singh and Alicia Fox both come over to Bayley. Bayley knocks out Alicia, and then she hits Sunil with a Bayley to belly on the outside. Jinder is distracted and gets rolled up by Balor for the win.
Yeah.
And so Jinder is so incensed after this that he starts just pushing around Sunil and throws him in the ring. And he looks like he wants to just beat the hell out of him. But instead, he just sits down Indian style and Shanti.
Yeah, I didn't care for that part. I just don't care for it.
Well, I think the story that they're telling with Jinder is that he has this whole meditation thing and that he's trying to embrace inner peace with everyone. But the hypocritical part in it is that he's so filled with rage himself.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that'll lead to something somewhere. All right.
Yeah, somewhere down the road.
So, I have been waiting a while to talk about this.
I can only imagine.
So,
here we go.
Chris, I'm going to take the lead on this. I have a lot to say.
Okay, let me just start by saying, don't forget to watch Total Divas every Wednesday.
Did you watch Total Divas this weekend?
Not yet. I'm going to watch it tonight.
I saw that they had the lowest ratings that they've had ever. I think they had like 500,000 viewers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, apparently it's been a downward trend each season.
It has.
But we're not here for Total Divas.
Nope. I got my plug in. I'm good.
All right. So we have a 6-woman tag. There is the Bellas and Natalya against the Riot Squad. So, very early on in this match, Brie Bella and Liv Morgan are in the ring, and Brie Bella begins to do her husband's yes kicks, or as Corey Graves always refers to them, the world-famous it kicks. And Brie is hitting them, and as she goes along, she starts to speed up, and so Liv drops her head down, and Brie kicks her square in the face. And, once when you do that, I felt like it was just bad timing. It was unfortunate, but it wasn't necessarily Brie's fault at that point.
Yeah.
But then after she kicks her the first time in the face, she doesn't stop. And Liv is already dazed and drops her and is dropping her head over. And is dropping her head, and Brie kicks her again twice in the face. And when that first one I can say is an accident, but you have to notice it after that. And when she kicked her again in the face, it just felt reckless.
But she may not have realized she kicked her in the face.
Right. And that's why I'm not gonna crucify Brie too much for this.
Too much.
Because it was an accident. I thought it was a very careless accident, but it was an accident. These things happen. And what I'm going to rant about is not Brie Bella.
Oh.
Because I'm going to give Brie at least a little bit of slack. I thought it was careless, but it was still an accident. But here is where my rant comes in. I don't know if you watch much football or the NFL as of late, but due to concussions and the research that has gone into CTE and everything that goes along with concussions and how dangerous they can be, the NFL and pretty much all sports have a concussion protocol. And in the NFL, if you even suspect that a player could have a concussion, he is immediately pulled out, he's taken under the tent, and they evaluate him, and if they suspect that he has a concussion, then he's not going to play. So this is where WWE completely failed here, is that Liv is unconscious in the middle of the ring, laying flat on her face, and the referee does not do anything, and Brie turns her over to pin her. Mm-hmm. And if Liv is concussed, which it was later reported that she was, then doing this is so dangerous, because once you have a concussion, any sort of second impact after that, it can kill you. That's no exaggeration. It can kill you. So Brie turns her over and goes for the pin, and the ref counts it, and I don't know that Liv kicked out or if Brie sort of just brought her shoulder off the mat for her.
I think that's what happened.
But after that, it gets even worse, because Brie picks her up and drags her to her corner to try to make it look like Liv is pushing her into the corner.
Yeah.
But really, she is dragging her into the corner. And Liv is limp. She's dead weight that Brie is dragging to the corner. And they get the tag. And at that point, I was like, all right, well, at least she's out of the match now. It'll be okay from here. Hopefully she's okay.
Right then at that point of the match, if you listen, right before the tag's made, you can hear Brie say, yeah, she needs out. I don't know who she was talking to, either one of the Riot Squad.
Okay.
But so she knew something was wrong.
Yeah. So after that, though, is where this gets even stupider. Because after Liv is out, and I think that she's done, hopefully, but they do a suplex spot where two of the girls are fighting over a suplex, and then all of the other girls come into the ring, and they all hook each other in a suplex, including Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
And she is the one that takes the suplex. The baby faces get the advantage, and they hit the triple suplex. And Liv is taking a bump after this. And look, I give Liv a lot of credits for trying to continue. And it's just the thing, if you leave a wrestler to their own devices, they're going to wrestle. They're going to finish the match. It's their instinct.
Yeah.
If you leave a football player to play football, he's going to play football.
Yeah.
So this needed to be stopped. As soon as this was apparent, which was very early after that kick, the referee should have stopped this. He should have backed Brie off and brought out trainers and EMTs or whatever you need to do to get Liv out of the match. Right then, cut to commercial.
Yeah.
Get this taken care of, because it's dangerous.
Because they could have easily taken her back to the back. Bellas and Natty could have dropped somebody from the team, and they could have continued the match just 2-on-2.
Yeah. So eventually, and the Riot Squad roll to the outside, and Ruby and Sarah are just like holding Liv in their arms, just like trying to calm her down, I guess, or something, just trying to comfort her. But over the break, Michael Cole would inform us after the break that Liv was taken to the trainer's room, but actually, as photos from the arena would show, she wasn't in the trainer's room. She was being attended to on the outside by trainers.
Yeah. And
I believe it was even picked up on camera at some point, is what I heard. I didn't notice it, but... And so then after all that ranting, and I still don't particularly blame Brie because it was an accident, but in this same match, Sarah and Ruby are doing a double team move, and Sarah tags Ruby in, and they're trying to do like the slingshot into a forearm sort of thing. So Sarah slingshots Brie up to Ruby, who Ruby is ready to throw a strike at Brie, but instead Brie comes up and elbows Ruby right in the face, as hard as she could, it looked like. And after that, and you could tell that that's not what they were expecting, because right after that, the Riot Squad just took back over and kind of put Brie down. And you kind of see just like, as Sarah is leaving the ring after that, she just kind of like puts like her arms up, like what are you doing?
But you could hear, I think it was Logan, say something to the effect of what happened.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't hear anything, but I could tell by their facial reactions.
Yeah, something was amiss.
And it was reported by a PW Insider that after this, after Liv went down, they had to call the match on the fly, obviously, but it was mostly Ruby Riott who was calling everything on the fly.
Oh, wow.
And Ruby has a lot of experience. She's been on the independent wrestling scene for 7-8 years, I think. So she's a very experienced worker, probably the best worker in that match. Aside from Natalya, I guess they're right there with each other. But
not many people are going to outwork Natalya, though.
Yeah. But it was reported, at least by PW Insider, that Ruby Riott was the one calling the match on the fly.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. So Liv is out. It's a 2-on-3 advantage for the baby faces. And eventually the Riot Squad do get the pin on Natalya. And I think Logan hit Natty from the outside, and then Ruby gets the blind tag on Logan, and Natty puts Logan in the sharpshooter. Then Ruby kicks Natty in the face, then she picks her up, does the Riot kick,
And that's it.
and that's the win. So, yeah, that was a lot of ranting to do about this match. I cannot fathom how, and this is a company who just ended their trial, I believe, with on the concussion lawsuits.
Oh, yeah, that lawsuits, yeah.
From former wrestlers that were suing them. And, I support WWE in that, because it's just like, everyone on that list, they wrestled for more people than Vince McMahon. So it seems silly to just sue WWE.
And the fact that they're subcontractors, they know the risk going in. They know they can't sue if something goes wrong.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with the NFL and their concussion lawsuits. But the NFL, ever since then, has made so many changes to ensure that players are at least more safe, that they may still get concussed, but the goal is to make sure that there's no lingering damage after that, and that nobody's playing with a concussion. Mm-hmm. And this was just completely incompetent for them to put Liv Morgan at risk like that.
And I agree it is, but then you just go back and think, how many times have we seen men wrestlers, Cena with a broken nose, finish the match?
Yeah.
Triple H, torn quads, finished the match. Nobody called anything.
I get that. But when you talk about brain injuries compared to those sort of injuries, you can finish a match with a broken nose and it's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
If you are wrestling with a concussion, it could kill you. And I give Liv a lot of credit for trying to finish the match. I'm sure that she was mostly just on autopilot and was just doing what her instincts told her to do. And Liv's really improved a lot since she's come up to the main roster.
She really has.
Because when she was in NXT, I never thought much of her. I thought that, she's not someone that I'd ever really be interested in as a wrestler. But she's really improved, and I give her a lot of credit. But this was just incompetent management and someone, whether it be someone communicating to the referee or the referee himself, somebody had to stop this before it got to the point that it did.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so there's my rant on that. We're done with that now. We can finally move on to... Oh, we're transitioning straight into another rant.
Now, wait a minute. What are you transitioning to?
So, up next, and this sounds like such a douche move for me to rant on this. We had the Stephanie and Triple H promo in the ring for the Connor's Cure.
Yes, how can you dog on that?
You'd be surprised.
Well, surprise me.
All right. So, for one, I do not have any problem with this at its base. It was very cute, and it was obviously for a good cause. I'm not against pediatric cancer survivors. This was awesome in that respect.
So what's your problem?
My problem is that we bring out everyone onto the stage.
Okay.
Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns are standing right next to each other.
Yeah.
When they were trying to fight each other earlier, but had to be broken up, they're standing right next to each other as friends. And my other problem with it is just that Steph and Triple H are heels.
Yeah, and here they are being baby faces.
Later on in this show, Triple H is interviewed on his way to the limo, and he says, well, Undertaker wants to take my soul, but he doesn't realize that I sold that a long time ago.
Yeah.
And in this same show, he's dancing with kids
and giving a belt
and
to
giving
a
belts.
cancer survivor kid. Yeah, okay, I see your rant then.
So it's not a huge deal. It's just the inconsistencies of kayfabe in 2018.
But kayfabe's gone.
It's just
the internet killed kayfabe.
It's just, for us, that's not that big a deal. But if someone is new to this and this is like their first episode watching wrestling, and they'd be majorly confused that Stephanie's a bad guy, then she's a good guy when she's doing the WWE PR stuff. Same with Triple H. And, this is all I really look at that as now, is just PR.
Yeah.
It's... I don't get too invested in it, but that's really all I have to say about that.
Okay. Well, that wasn't that bad of a rant.
No, it wasn't that bad. Throughout the show, we had Dolph. He came up to Dean, tried to convince him that, you can join us. Then later on, we had Seth approaching Drew, and Seth kind of brought up an interesting point, is that everything that they were saying on Dean was really true about Drew, because Dolph and Braun are the ones using him.
Yeah.
And, Seth even says, Ziggler's riding your coattails. You're the talented one here. You're the one with the future. And Dolph is just riding on that. And, later, Drew, after that, goes up to Dean, and he says, Seth was trying to use everything we said about you and turn it against me. And he just says that could mean one or two things. He's either trying to recruit a fourth member of the Shield, or he's already trying to replace you. And I think earlier on, I forgot to mention in the opening promo that another cool thing was that they brought up how when Dean got injured, Seth was really quick to replace him. He just teamed up with Jason Jordan. So really, really good stuff. And I thought this was the main story throughout Raw that took up most of the show, and I enjoyed all of it. It was good. It was good build.
It was. I would have liked to have another match or two instead of all this talking, but
yeah,
I mean, it could have been worse.
Yeah,
Could have been
but
SmackDown.
it definitely was. You're gonna crap on SmackDown, but I thought SmackDown was awesome.
I'm not crapping on the whole show. I'm just crapping on the amount of wrestling.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that. So we more or less are on the same page. But after this, I mentioned this in the earlier segment that Triple H and Stephanie are going to their limo, and Charlie Caruso, I believe, interviews Triple H and just tries to get his reaction from Undertaker's promo last week. And, Triple H has the line, as far as Taker stealing my soul, I sold that a long time ago. And, he says, if Undertaker is concerned about me wearing a suit and all that and being corporate, then he's already lost.
Yeah.
So, good stuff from Triple H. I've really enjoyed the build to this Triple H and Undertaker match.
I'm just glad they're building it.
Yeah, it is nice. It's not just going to be a one-off sort of.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have a match on this date. Be there and watch it. We're not going to build to it or nothing.
Yeah, they've given us a reason to want to see it.
Yeah.
And that's good. I do like that.
But if you think about it, they don't do that anymore. Like our era, the Attitude Era, like they're doing now, where they build for weeks to build one match.
Right.
They don't do that anymore.
And I say it a lot, is that often in WWE, they tell you something and expect you to believe it.
Yeah.
And in entertainment, there's an old saying. It's called "show, don't tell."
Mm-hmm.
Show us why we should care about this. Don't tell us.
Exactly.
And they've done a great job of showing us why we should care about this match. So props to that. Just wish that we could do that on everything instead of just Triple H and Undertaker.
But not everything can bring in Michaels and Kane.
I did want to talk about that too, because last week Undertaker had the promo where he said if Triple H is going to have Shawn in his corner, because he pointed out Shawn's not going to be there to be in the front row to watch the show.
Yeah, he's not going to go all that way.
He's gonna be there in Triple H's corner, and Undertaker says, in my corner, I'll have my brother, Mayor Kane. He didn't say Mayor Kane.
Okay, I was going to say, he didn't say Mayor Kane.
But Mayor Kane, nonetheless.
That's okay. That's better than Corporate Kane.
Yeah. So, and the rumor is that this is going to lead to a match at the Crown Jewel Saudi Arabia show with Undertaker and Kane against Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
I don't think he'll do it.
I don't know, man. I feel like this is the biggest payoff that Shawn has ever been offered, probably.
Probably. He's probably looking at several millions of dollars.
Eventually, when you wave so much money in front of someone's face, they got to take it.
But I love him. I love the attitude he has about not wrestling again.
Yes, and we talked about this before, not on the show, but on our own time at some point, is that as a Shawn Michaels fan, and Shawn Michaels, when I was just getting into wrestling, was my favorite guy. And the two matches with Taker at WrestleMania, most people liked the first one better, but I liked the second match better because it had the added drama of Michaels' career on the line and Michaels' obsession with trying to beat the Undertaker's streak, and that he was willing to put his career on the line just to have the chance to do it. And that ending was the perfect ending. You can't get a better ending than that, and if he comes back, there won't be a better ending.
There's no better ending than being put on the shelf by the Undertaker.
Yes,
at WrestleMania.
And that whole story they told just really made it a satisfying conclusion. And if Michaels comes back, I'm not going to be too upset, but it will kind of soil my memories of that match.
To me, it'll tarnish his retirement.
Yeah.
Just because look at everybody that says, "Oh, I'm retiring."
Yeah,
and then a year
Michaels is really one of the few that have stuck to it.
Yeah, normally they just go to another promotion, but he actually just retired totally.
Yeah. So, if Michaels does come back, I do hope that it's not just for this tag team match and that's it, because that would be just disappointing for his only match to be basically a meaningless tag team match. I know.
And not even in the country.
Yeah, and in Saudi Arabia, which there's enough issues surrounding that and that controversy.
If anything, have him come in and wrestle in Texas, where he's from.
If you have a Shawn Michaels match in San Antonio, that would be pretty awesome.
Man, that roof is going to get blown off.
Yeah, and I think that'll happen no matter where. But I do wonder what kind of reaction he'll get in Saudi Arabia, because a lot of guys didn't get big reactions last time in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So it'll just seem out of place, I think.
That's because we are out of place going there.
Yeah. But we'll move on from this, and we had Chad Gable with Bobby Roode, and last time we did the show, we did talk about the forming of the Chad Gable and Bobby Roode team.
Yes.
And since then, they've just had matches with the Ascension.
Yeah.
So after they had 2 tag team matches against the Ascension, I think. Or maybe it was just one, and I just feel like it was 2. But then the week after, Gable goes one-on-one with Victor from the Ascension, and he beats him. And then this week, Chad Gable goes one-on-one with Connor from the Ascension.
Which I enjoyed.
I found it funny that they do the split-screen promo as both of them are on their way to the ring, which I do like that they do that. It's really a good time-conserving thing where you put 2 things together. But Connor has this serious, vicious sort of promo, and I'm like, all right, well, 3 weeks ago, you called this dude a sawed-off duck butt.
Yeah.
How are you going to be serious now?
That's true. But, I've never seen him one-on-one.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Connor's ever gone one-on-one with anybody.
I'm sure he has.
But I've never seen it. And I was actually impressed.
Connor wasn't bad here. I've always felt like Victor is the better wrestler because...
Connor's the muscle.
Yeah. So, in WWE logic, Connor is bigger, so he's better.
I just never seen him before one-on-one, so it was nice.
But, Connor wins this match with, an inverted power slam sort of thing. And my notes just say, WTF. Why?
Why the finish?
Because, for one, the fact that Connor won means that we're going to get more matches with Chad Gable and Bobby Roode in the freaking Ascension.
Well, that's true. I mean, they could mix it up a little bit.
And the second thing is that this Roode and Gable team is in its infancy, and now Chad Gable just loses a match to a loser, which I'm sorry. That's how they've been positioned.
The Ascensions are jobbers.
It's not their fault, but they're losers.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit. I didn't like it. But we'll move on from meaningless Chad Gable losses.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a Raw Tag Team Championship match on this show.
Yes.
And the Revival finally got their match.
It only took them how long?
Yeah. So I felt like going into this that this was going to be a weird dynamic, being that it was heel against heel team.
Yeah.
But the Revival, to my surprise, played babyface in this match.
They really did.
And I never thought I would see the Revival even act as babyfaces. And the even crazier thing was that the crowd was behind them.
Yeah.
They wanted to see the Revival win this match.
And I don't think they've ever had the crowd behind them.
No, definitely.
At least not since they moved up.
Definitely. Well, on their first night, I remember they did get a huge pop when they first got called up.
Well, who doesn't get a good pop on their debut?
Yeah. Well, I can think of several people, actually. Oh. But the more beloved names from NXT normally do get a big reaction when they get called up.
You see, since I don't watch NXT, I don't know how big they are.
Yeah.
Everybody's a nobody to me.
I've loved the Revival, though, since NXT. And it was just so weird seeing them play babyface because their whole thing is old school heel tag team.
Mm-hmm.
Distract the ref, keep your opponent isolated, keep him in your corner, cut off the ring. And this time we had Dash Wilder doing a tornado DDT to the floor, off the barricade, which was great. And they did a good bit of high spots. I think Dawson did like a butterfly powerbomb sort of thing. And there was a lot of near falls. But so eventually after all this, though, Drew and Dolph did win with the Claymore into the zigzag.
Yeah.
And it was a good long match. Went through, I think, a couple commercials.
I think two.
And a lot of high spots from the Revival. I'm curious, though, if they remain babyface after this, or if they even really follow up on this. If we just don't see the Revival for a while after this, which feels like something that would happen.
They had their rematch. There's no reason to put them on TV for a couple weeks. So I don't think we'll see them for probably 2 to 3 weeks. There's no need.
Yeah, hopefully we can build the Revival back up, though. I feel like they need to move to SmackDown because they've just been floundering here. But at the same time, there's so many good tag teams on SmackDown, it's hard to see them really doing much else.
But I'm just, and it goes for both shows. I'm tired of seeing the same teams go against the same teams.
Yeah, it's
getting old.
That's a thing that happens. You see this, even in singles, you see the same guys facing the same guys for several months.
Oh, I know. I get tired of it.
So up next we had the Kevin Owens Show featuring Elias.
Oh, yeah.
So Owens welcomes his guest, who is Lio Rush. I meant to ask you, do you know Lio Rush at all prior to his debut?
No, I don't. So I figured he's on NXT.
Well, he was on NXT, then he was moved to 205 Live. But what Lio is mostly known for is that when he was... I don't even think he debuted in NXT yet, and it was last year, if you remember, when Emma got released.
Mm-hmm.
So Emma gets released, I think, the day after she loses to Asuka on a pay-per-view match. And so Lio Rush, who's employed by WWE at this point, tweets out, I guess that's what happened. What happens when you're truly not ready for Asuka.
Oh, damn.
And he got a ton of heat over that.
Oh, wow.
A lot of people thought he would just be fired, which ultimately he wasn't, and they gave him a chance. And I like what I've seen from Lio here.
He's a good talker.
I think Lio and Lashley is a great pairing because Lio can bring the personality that Lashley does not have.
Lashley's got the strength, but that's in the smile.
And it was funny last week where Lio is being chased around by Owens and Elias.
Yeah.
It was hilarious seeing him just like jump off the announce desk over Owens, running down the ramp.
Yeah. He's a good comedic character.
Yeah, I liked this. And as you said, Lio definitely is a good talker. He carries a good presence about him. So they invite Lio down. And, he's standing at the ramp, and they're just like, oh, come on into the ring. And Leo's just like, now I know I'm young, but I'm not naive. I know if I go in there, you two are just going to beat me up.
Yeah.
And Elias says that they even have a chair for him.
Oh,
and, And Owens looks down and laughs, and then gets like a high chair that they sit down on a chair. This would eventually lead to a match with
Lashley and Elias.
Bobby Lashley versus Elias. I wanted to say it was Bobby versus Owens for some reason, but it wasn't. But so wasn't a lot to this match, and
typical match for a hometown hero.
Oh yeah, I forgot that when Leo introduces Bobby, he gets the biggest reaction he's gotten since he came back.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen a crowd give one crap about Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, and it's just because it's his hometown.
And you can put it partly on his hometown, but I thought that Leo Rush actually played a big role in that and how he introduced him.
Well, yeah.
Because I feel like if Bobby Lashley's music just hit and he came out, then he wouldn't have gotten that same sort of reaction.
No, the build-up.
Leo as the hype man really helped elevate that.
Well, think about it. If we're getting rid of Brock and Heyman, we're going to need a replacement. Yeah. So we've got
Leo and Bobby definitely could do that in a different sort of way, but have that same sort of effect. But so this crowd was into Bobby Lashley. All they wanted to see, and what I would have booked ultimately, is Bobby Lashley to win a short match. Instead, this match sort of dragged on for a bit, and then eventually Owens starts chasing Leo around the ring again, which, as humorous as that is, and how hilarious these Leo Rush chase scenes are, eventually Leo Rush runs around the corner, and Owens inadvertently runs into Bobby Lashley.
Which I do believe was an accident, it looked like. Now, I'm not saying, I'm sure they had it planned.
Yeah.
But, it's not like he intentionally went up there and kicked him or something.
I see. But that calls for the DQ. And that was just so flat.
It was.
This was the only time that I've seen Bobby Lashley over to this extent, and they ruined it. He should have just came in and beat down Elias and won the match.
I mean, but
the crowd would have went crazy for that.
To me, it was still a typical match. Being a hometown hero, he's up, he's down, he's up, he's down, he wins.
Yeah.
Of course,
but he won by disqualification, which doesn't really give you that same sort of reaction.
He won differently, but he still won.
Well, really, more recently, more people have been losing in their hometowns in WWE.
That's true. Look at who is it?
Sasha, Charlotte.
Because they both won in each other.
There's plenty of other examples.
Yeah. So I guess anymore, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It used to, though.
I think they intentionally just say, "Oh, you're in your hometown.
You're gonna lose."
Yeah, or we'll let you win,
maybe
by disqualification.
Yeah, it won't be clean. Well, that just leaves us with one more thing.
There were two more matches, and I don't blame you for forgetting this.
Because I only got one written down. I wrote as I watched, so what I forget?
There was Nia Jax versus Alicia Fox.
That's the one.
And it's funny because I literally have in my notes here Nia Jax versus Alicia Fox filler.
No wins. Yeah.
Nia wins. Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Those are my notes.
So I didn't miss anything by not writing anything.
It didn't go long. It was over.
Just a filler.
It really had no meaning. I was struggling to figure out why it was there. Yeah. I guess to just promote Nia for her Game Changer Award nomination.
Is that a People's Choice that they're up for?
I don't know.
Kids' Choice, People's Choice, Dog's Choice, something.
One of those choices.
Yeah, but there's a couple of divas women out there.
Yeah, but good for Nia, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, at least she's on TV.
At least she's on TV. So next we had The Shield versus Baron Corbin and two question marks.
Two big question marks.
Two big question marks. And Corbin comes out and he introduces AOP. Which I find it funny, though, that recently they've just been AOP and nobody calls them the Authors of Pain.
Yeah.
which is such a cool name that I hate that they don't even say it.
Didn't we discuss it before, how they're going to start shortening to everybody's name?
They shorten everything. Like, Vince took one look at this and they was like, God damn it, pal. Your tag team name's too long. And meanwhile, Vince and WWE are naming tag teams like the Boss and Hug Connection.
Yeah.
Which is just so simple and dumb.
And a ripoff of the Rock and Sock Connection.
Asuka and Naomi's tag team name is the Empress and the Glow.
Yeah.
How creative.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then when you have a cool name like Authors of Pain, you just call them AOP.
Yeah.
Screw that. That's all I have to say.
They're a little backwards.
So this was a fun main event.
Yes, it was. I enjoyed it.
And right off the bat, I liked that Seth tags in Roman, and he just goes face-to-face with Razor.
Oh, yeah.
And the crowd loved this. I loved this. And, they just kind of have like a big man match, which is refreshing.
You don't see it very often. There's not a whole lot of big men.
It's fun to see every once in a while. And I love the new style of wrestling as much as everyone else. But it is nice to see, as Jim Ross would say back in the day, a big hoss match.
Yeah. Yeah.
And AOP definitely does bring those sorts of matchups.
I'm glad they're using AOP now.
Yeah. They definitely got off to a slow start, but I felt like this helped them.
Oh, I think it did. Even if they lost it, they were on TV against the Shield.
All right, so the Shield would take out all three of them to go into the commercial break. And at some point, Dolph, Drew, and Braun come down to the stage, and they have chairs, and they all, in synchronization, sit their chairs down and sit on the ramp.
Yeah.
Which just seems so corny. Because they also do the, when Braun does his whole, raises his arms in the air and just goes, Braun!
Yep.
They all do it with him.
Yeah. It's like, come on, give me a break. Get your own thing.
Yeah. So the distraction gave the heels time to take control. And they took control for a little bit. So Rollins would go for the stomp, and as he hits the ropes, Drake distracts the ref. And then one of the members of AOP pulls the top rope down, so Seth tumbles out to the outside. Yeah. That was a cool spot. I like seeing those sort of take advantage of the ref not looking sort of things.
Sometimes, yeah.
So AOP takes out Roman on the outside. They hit the last chapter on Roman, which took him out for a while. And Rollins and Reigns are both out on the outside with Dean as the legal man. And AOP is setting up for the last chapter on Dean, but Roman would run in and hit the Superman punch on one of them before they could finish the move. And then Rollins would come in. He hits a stomp on Corbin. Then he does a dive to the outside to one of the members of AOP. Then he comes back in the ring and hits another dive on the other
side of the ring.
Yeah. And so then Dean hits Dirty Deeds, and he tags in Roman as he's running off the rope and hits another dive on the member of AOP that got back up. And then Roman comes in, and he hits Corbin with the spear. And 1, 2, 3. This was a really fun finishing sequence, how everyone hit their moves.
You can even see on my notes. My last note is I like the chaotic ending of the match.
Yeah, and it was just big move, dive, big move, dive.
But I like to see Seth dive, because I know he just pushes his people, but he always hits it. He always lands it. He doesn't botch it.
Yeah, he's safe with his. And it's fun when they just do it in a repeated sort of thing. And, Roman and Seth celebrate in the ring while Dean is still on the outside and he's recovering. And he does this perfectly where he gets right in between Braun, Drew, and Dolph on the outside and Seth and Roman in the ring. Mm-hmm. And he just kind of looks back at Braun, Drew, and Dolph, and he ultimately decides to go back in the ring and celebrate and do the fist bump with the Shield.
But how long will that last?
And that was Raw. Pretty good show. I thought the main stuff was good with the Drew Dolphin Braun trying to approach Ambrose and vice versa. That whole storyline I thought was good. Most of the other stuff was kind of just there, but the main stuff was delivered, so I give this a solid C.
Yeah, I'd give it a good C.
Alright, so on to SmackDown. Show kicked off with the Miz's music playing.
Yes.
And we were introduced to Miz TV. But instead of it being Miz TV, we had R-Truth and the newly brown-haired Carmella.
Yeah. Which I did like. I like her hair.
Yeah, it looks nice. It makes her look different than the 1,000 blonde wrestlers that there are.
It's a shame it didn't last long.
Huh?
Oh, you didn't know?
Wait, what are you talking about?
Her hair. It was Carmella's.
Yeah.
It was blonde after SmackDown when they're doing comments for the Mixed Match Challenge.
Was it?
Yeah. Her and Truth are in the back doing comments, and her hair's blonde again.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. So it lasted for just literally that one segment.
Huh. Well, R-Truth and Carmella are in the ring, and R-Truth introduces us to Truth TV.
Which is awesome.
And his first guest is Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan was so perfect in this because
yeah,
he genuinely looked like he was just having so much fun.
Well, he looked like he really didn't know what was going on.
It felt like talking smack Daniel Bryan almost, where he's just like relaxed and just
chilled.
Yeah. So Truth asks Daniel Bryan a question, but then he's interrupted by a 7-second dance break.
Yes.
And they hit the music, and Carmella and R-Truth just start dancing.
Now, is that like his version of the 5-second pose?
I don't know. I think it was just something goofy to have in his show. R-Truth did say that there was supposed to be some sort of animal segment, too.
Yeah.
So...
You gotta love Truth.
Yeah, so Miz eventually interrupts and just is furious about Truth stealing his show. And the line of the night, man, R-Truth just says, well, 2 weeks ago I beat you, and if you had a title, I would have won that. But since you didn't have a title, I just took your show instead.
Yeah, that was the greatest line of the night.
And then Miz just goes, you're an idiot. And Truth is just like, I'm an idiot with the talk show.
Yeah.
And Miz goes to the back with Paige right behind the curtain, and this seems just so childish that Miz was just like, I want my TV show back.
Yeah.
And Truth told him before that, well, hey, if you want your show, I'll fight you for it.
Yeah.
And Miz tries to get Paige to give Miz his show back, and Paige was just like, hey, well, he told you if you wanted to go fight him for it.
Yeah.
Paige is awesome
I love Paige.
as GM.
She's an awesome GM.
She has authority about her, which is nice.
Yeah.
And so Miz decides to come back out and have the match. And Daniel Bryan was on commentary for the match.
Yeah. No big deal.
I think they were interrupted by another 7-second dance break before
the
match started.
Yes.
And as Corey Graves put it, Carmella was flossing like it was Fortnite, which was humorous. So Daniel Bryan's on commentary for the match. I thought Bryan on commentary was pretty fun with the back and forth he had with Corey Graves.
Yeah.
And he basically just said like anything that most fans probably think when they hear Corey Graves just blindly side with the heels.
All the time.
And it was funny when Miz starts doing the yes kicks. Corey Graves doesn't say anything, but Brian was just like, "Oh, these are those world famous it kicks you're always talking about."
Yeah, he won't say nothing when Brian's sitting right there.
Yeah, he didn't. I actually like that because it just makes Corey Graves seem so much more like slimier and more heelish. That he says all that when Brian's not there, but then when Brian's there, he doesn't want to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that.
It was good.
So Miz eventually hits a skull-crushing finale on Truth and basically has the match won at that point. But he stares down Daniel Bryan. He gets in the corner. He starts doing the whole pointing to the air, doing the yes chants, and sets up for Daniel Bryan's running knee to finish Truth. And Daniel Bryan tried to get in the ring, but The Miz backs off and goes to the back. So, pretty good opener, I thought. Some fun stuff with R-Truth and Carmella.
I love Truth. I'm glad they're using them on TV again.
Yeah, it's funny how Carmella just went from this heel character champion to the babyface along with R-Truth.
I like her with R-Truth.
I do. It's the first time in a while that I've really enjoyed Carmella.
Yeah.
And I think that this can bring out a lot of sort of personality and things that we didn't see from Carmella before.
Yeah,
so,
I like her. New hair. I loved it. I love her with Truth. It's a perfect team.
Yeah. Well, I haven't watched the Mixed Match Challenge with them yet, but I'm sure they had some funny stuff in their match or anything.
I haven't seen their match yet. I just saw them doing comments backstage.
So they cut to a Charlotte photo shoot from earlier in the day.
Oh, yes.
And it is interrupted by Becky Lynch blindsiding her. And
whooping that ass.
Yes. And Becky beats her down. And my favorite part of this was just like, she's demanding that the photographers take pictures of the champ.
Yeah.
And she puts her foot over top of Charlotte and holds the title up and
that
just says,
great.
"You're going to want to get a picture of this."
That was perfect.
Good stuff from Becky. And after that, we had The Bar and The New Day, who are going to be facing off at Super Showdown. So the WWE copy and paste formula is
singles match.
A singles match with two of the people on the team. Yep. And we had Cesaro versus Big E. The New Day's promo on The Bar.
Sheamus versus Big E.
I'm sorry, yes, Sheamus versus Big E.
I've never seen a Cesaro wrestle in blue jeans.
You're right. That was my fault. But Sheamus versus Big E. But before that, we had the New Day promo where they said they were going to try to say something nice about The Bar. And they proceeded to make fun of Cesaro's nipples. And wonder if the carpet matches the drapes with Sheamus.
Yeah.
New Day's thing is getting kind of old for me.
Honestly, I'm getting tired of both these teams.
Like, there's a healthy balance, and I'm not sure where the line is with the New Day's comedy, because sometimes I find it annoying, and sometimes it's perfect. This felt more on the annoying side.
Yeah.
I don't know why they got to keep making fun of Cesaro's nipples. Like, I don't get that.
It'd be different if we had three of them.
But we had Big E versus Sheamus.
Are you sure?
I even wrote Big E versus Cesaro in my notes.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what I was watching. Because
I don't either. A couple weeks ago, maybe?
So, Big E hit a splash on Cesaro on the apron, which led into the commercial. And as they're going to commercial, Big E is smelling pancakes like it gives him some sort of superpower.
Like the Undertaker in his urn.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And Sheamus later on would go for a brogue kick, but E catches him in a power bomb. And if that would be a near fall.
If you notice that power bomb, it kind of looked a little botched.
It looked he had a little trouble getting him up.
And then the landing
Well, he landed on his knees instead of in a sit-out position.
Yeah,
which
you can see Sheamus laying on his lower back, not his shoulders.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. Because, normally they land on their shoulders.
Yeah. You always want to land on your shoulders.
He ended up hitting lower back first.
So Big E would go for the big ending, but Sheamus held on to the ropes, and E was forced to drop him. Sheamus hits the brogue kick, and this is 2 weeks in a row now that the Bar have singles wins over New Day members, which surely means that they're going to lose at Super Showdown. Because 50-50.
And I just didn't really care about this one. I'm tired of seeing these two teams go at it.
The thing is that when the bell rings and we get to the actual match, I'm sure it's going to be good. Because the two teams are just too talented, and they'll make it work. But I'm not excited to see the match.
It's just another, to me, it's just the same match we see every month at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, there's nothing that really feels special about it or anything like that.
Yeah, even if it's for the title, it's nothing special. Not anymore. Not with, maybe it's just these two teams. It might just be the New Day or the Bar. But I'm just tired of seeing the same thing.
Right. And for our next segment, we're going to have to do a little recapping. Because we had Rusev and Lana out next. Which this is going to be one of my favorite things on the show. Probably my favorite. But we'll get to the Samoa Joe and AJ Styles later, which was pretty fun. But last week, we had Aiden English and Rusev and Lana backstage. And Rusev is having a United States title match against Shinsuke Nakamura later on. And Rusev says to Aiden that he's confident because Aiden won't be in the match to cost him it, like he supposedly did at Hell in a Cell in their tag team title match. And, that Rusev and Lana walk off, and then Aiden, luckily there was just this production crew guy that Aiden could just vent to, and that he says it's all Lana's fault. She ruined everything. Mm-hmm. And the production guy is just kind of like pointing behind English, and Lana's right there. And then it's just like, oh, but please don't tell Rusev. And she tries to go tell Rusev, but Rusev is trying to focus on his match with Nakamura, and he just says, well, it can wait until after. Yeah. And it's funny because Rusev just turns to English and he goes, well, you do the honors. And English just smiles and, oh, that'd be my pleasure. And he goes out and for the last time introduces Rusev on this Rusev Day. And Nakamura and Rusev have the title match. And at some point, Rusev is setting up for the Machka kick. He's getting ready. And English just jumps on the apron and just goes, Rusev crush, into the mic. And Rusev just kind of looks at him like, what are you doing, dude? And that's when Nakamura comes in from behind and gets the roll-up. And after that, Rusev is in the ring. And Aiden English symbolically hits Rusev with the microphone and beats him with it. It's kind of symbolic because that mic and Aiden English is just what's kind of made Rusev into this character.
But if you notice that when he was beating Rusev, the W came off the microphone.
Well, they have the specially made mic where it says Happy Rusev Day. Yeah. And that's what came off everything. Yeah, so it was just the microphone with no logos on it by the end.
It was just weird to see all the logos on the mat.
And Lana is standing in the corner, not just looking distraught. And English, after the beatdown, just gets up and says, Happy Rusev Day. And then he leaves.
Yep.
And before we get to the segment, I wanted to get your thoughts on what was your initial thoughts when Rusev Day did officially split in that segment?
A part of me wants to say it's about time.
Really?
Just, they don't seem like the type of team that's going to stick around, like the New Day for years.
Okay.
But, I mean, they're good together. I don't see them sticking around much longer. And I think they do better, at least Rusev would do better singles.
Right. So, where I went with this when it happened was in execution. This whole thing was great. Everyone did a great job of portraying their characters and the splits, and it was written well. Everything was good in execution, but what I felt it lacked was that Rusev Day, as long as they were together a full year to the day, and they didn't really do a whole lot in that time. There weren't any title wins. There weren't any big things that they did. They were just together, and the crowd was behind them. And even then, it took so long for them to turn face because they were portrayed as heels for so long.
Oh, yeah.
But I felt like this segment and this turn would have meant so much more if you just had more build to the friendship that Aiden and Rusev have, and just even being champions for a little bit, and then having this would be more effective because they've been so inseparable, and nobody would see it coming. But in this case, it was more like it was just a matter of time, and as much as we didn't want it to end, we knew it was going to. So that would bring us to this week, though, where Rusev and Lana come out, and Rusev just wants to know why Aiden English did it.
Yeah.
So Aiden comes out, he comes to the ramp, and Aiden was so good in this promo in that he set everything up perfectly, and he says, that before Aiden came along into Rusev lacked direction, and nobody cared about him. And until Lana came into the fold, they were perfect. But Lana ruined it all.
And I agree to a certain extent. I mean, nobody really cared about Rusev until Aiden started doing the Rusev Day song.
Yeah, that's what really got Rusev over more than anything.
Yeah.
And it's good heel logic, too, for him to take credit for that and be justified in it.
Oh, yeah.
So Aiden was also really good because he's getting to the main point of this promo, and the crowd is just going crazy throughout this, and they start chanting Lana is the best, Lana number one, and Aiden is trying to get to the go home point, but he knows that he can't just say that with the crowd chanting so loud, so he kind of cools it off, and he goes, Lana is the best, and Lana is always honest. And that's why Lana was going to tell Rusev about what I said about her last week. And he says, but I got to ask, if you're always so honest, are you ever going to tell Rusev about that one night in Milwaukee?
Yes.
And the crowd collectively goes, oh. There was even a holy shit chant by a portion of this crowd. And
the only one of the night, I think.
Yeah. And it was this is perfect drama that I feel like we miss a lot in wrestling, and it fits so well in here. And, you have Rusev, who's like, well, I mean, obviously I don't want to believe him, but when were we in Milwaukee?
Yeah.
And they did that backstage segment later. But, good stuff from Aiden. I do think that this should be a fun storyline.
I think it would be.
But my only concern is what we do with Aiden after this. Because Aiden was in my opinion, the perfect role for him, being alongside Rusev. And I question whether or not he'll be in any sort of role when the dust settles in this.
Well, they could have it to where they end up being friends after all this is done. Maybe something comes out where Lana's behind it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. But
because
then
honestly, Lana doesn't really help Rusev anymore.
No, not like she did before.
Aiden is there Lana needs to step aside and do her thing in the ring. Let Rusev have his moment. She needs to worry about herself. Aiden just, to me, is a better sidekick out there than Lana is.
Yeah. And I don't really expect that Aiden will get much of a push post Rusev, which would be unfortunate because Aiden has proven that he's very talented in multiple ways. Because not just as a wrestler, he's just he just understands drama so well, and he has that Shakespearean sort of thing that he does.
But he doesn't have the look to be a champion.
He doesn't, and that's why I think this role was so perfect for him, because he didn't have to be a champion.
Yeah, I mean, he could have been a tag champion just fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he needs. He needs to be a tag champ. Don't worry about being singles. He can't cut it as a singles. We've seen that. He just doesn't have the knowledge, the moveset, the skills.
I think it's largely the look, honestly.
That could be a big part of it. It's just he's not big and muscular. He's not dark and tan.
Yeah.
He doesn't have much hair anymore.
Yeah. So hopefully Aiden finds some sort of role, and maybe he can pair up with someone else eventually, because it would be a shame if Aiden just sort of flattens out after all this.
Yeah.
So after this, when we come back from commercial, we have Rusev and Lana backstage, and Lana's just like, you trust me, don't you? And Rusev's just like, of course, but, he looks unsure, and Becky Lynch comes in and adds some fuel to the flames on this.
Yeah.
And Lana tells her to mind her own business, as Becky is just like, Milwaukee, huh? And when Lana tells her to mind her own business, Becky says, I run the women's division, and that's where you claim to compete in, so it is my business.
Yeah.
And that she sets up for a match later with Lana and says that Rusev will have to carry Lana's bags for her after she breaks her arm.
Yep. Good little segment for Becky.
And after Becky walks away, Rusev just goes, when was the last time we were in Milwaukee?
Yeah.
And Lana angrily walks away.
Did something happen? Are we going to see another John Cena, AJ Lee scandal?
It'll be interesting to see where we go from there. And we'll get to the segment later with Aiden English. But up next, we had the Iconics in the ring. And they're about to cut a promo, but Naomi's music and proceedingly Asuka's music cut them off.
Thank God.
And we were not here for me to rant about this pairing about Asuka and Naomi when it happens.
Oh, yeah.
But a few weeks ago, they had Asuka and Naomi just pair together in a after Asuka saved Naomi, they had like an interview, and they just had like Naomi says something about feel the glow, and Asuka was like, oh, I go. And Asuka said something in Japanese, and Naomi thought she said teriyaki. And she was like, oh, you like teriyaki? Let's go get some food. And Asuka's just like, oh, I like food.
Yeah.
Because you see Asuka no speak English very good.
Yeah.
Ha, ha, ha.
When it's convenient for her, she don't speak English.
This was such a mind-numbingly dumb way of pairing these two, and I could not possibly care. Asuka has been ruined, and it's such a shame.
And she hasn't done anything since she debuted on the main roster.
Well, they protected her, and they protected the streak
for a minute.
Until WrestleMania, where Charlotte beat her.
Ever since.
And after that, she's just done nothing. Yeah. And that win for Charlotte ultimately meant nothing.
Yeah.
It was just stupid. But I've had enough rants for the day. I can't go on about Asuka because it just hurts me too much.
Well, no one talks about her streak ending like The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak.
No, it didn't mean anywhere near that much.
And it should have.
That's unfortunate. So we get shown a WWE.com clip earlier of Naomi and Asuka, and Asuka is like saying that she likes Naomi's hair.
Yeah.
And then Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose come up and make fun of them, and that's what set up this match with the Iconics on commentary, which
sucked.
Really, I love the Iconics, man.
I can't stand them.
I love the Iconics.
I don't know why. It might just be their squeaky voices. I just do not like them. I can't wait for. I wish the power would have went out when they got on the mic.
I thought it was hilarious when they did the Byron Saxton impression.
Oh, I skipped it.
Oh,
I skipped. I had to. I cannot stand their voice. And it's not both of them. It's Billy Kay's voice. Peyton Royce is okay. Billy Kay's voice, I cannot stand. I swear to God, I don't want to put her in a blender.
The Iconics are so fun.
To each his own, but not to me.
So, Asuka and Naomi win a short match. I did not make a single note about this match.
The only note I made was it wasn't much of a match anyway.
Yeah, so.
After ranting about the Iconics being up there.
Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville don't really have much. They lose quickly.
But I do like the team Mandy and Sonya.
I like Sonya Deville a lot, and I feel like she's one of the more underrated wrestlers right now.
But I think she's more helping Mandy get on her feet than anything.
Yeah, I'm sure Mandy will be the one that gets pushed because she's blonde.
Mm-hmm.
All the blondes get pushed.
Well, she's got the looks. I mean, don't get me wrong, Sonya Deville's hot, but she doesn't flaunt it like Mandy Rose.
Yeah, and that's... I wish it was more just about wrestling, but it's never going to be that way.
It never has been.
But, whatever. We move on to Ty Dillinger versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Which I don't get this match at all.
Like, as in why it took place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Ty hasn't been seen for weeks.
Well, we see him
months, maybe.
Following Truth.
Yeah, aside from following our Truth. And then Ty Dillinger doesn't even get to be in the Truth TV segments.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's funny, actually. I didn't even think about that at the time.
I didn't either.
But, Ty versus Nakamura, this match didn't go long until Ty gets in the corner on top of Nakamura and starts doing the punches. And out of nowhere, in comes Randy Orton.
Why is it that Randy Orton only interferes with
Nakamura matches?
Shinsuke's matches?
That's a funny thing.
But he didn't do it last week with Rusev.
It's weird that I think it's more coincidental than anything that he just so happens to be interfering in Nakamura's matches. But if they revealed it at the end that they're working together, then it would be something. But I don't think that's where they're going.
I was thinking maybe he doesn't want anybody else to go after Nakamura's title, except for him. So he's going to try and take out everybody who's going after it.
Well, I think Orton's character is more right now centered on just taking out people that the fans like.
Yeah, that could be too.
And
but we like Rusev. What happened last week?
Yeah. And they did the segment last week that I do want to touch on, where Randy Orton was in the production truck and he was forcing the guy to play the photos of
his finger in Jeff Hardy's ear
and the screwdriver in Jeff Hardy's ear. And he's like massaging the dude's shoulders as he's doing this.
Well, I guess that's better than what he's known for.
I was going to say that because of the allegations that happened with Orton, this segment felt particularly uncomfortable.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd rather see him rub someone's shoulders than what he is accused of doing.
Yeah. And
I'm sure that guy was happy about it too.
I'm not going to cover what actually is alleged. All I'll tell you is that a former writer that said that Randy Orton does some things to new writers
for initiation
in a hazing sort of way. If you want more information, you can Google it.
Yeah, they'll Google it. They'll find it. It made the news. I mean,
but that allegation made that segment feel uncomfortable. But it was a really good segment in spite of that.
Yeah, it was.
And, in that segment, he just says that he's going to find his next victim. And He comes out and he beats down Ty, and nobody is as good as I had a beatdown as Randy Orton.
Oh no, he's the best.
Stomps away on Ty, does like a back suplex where he just throws him onto the announcer's table, does the draping DDT from the apron to the floor,
which is always awesome looking.
And then for good measure, Shinsuke just decided to Kinshasa him into the LED board.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, what's the point?
just for good measure.
Like, he's down, he ain't getting up.
And later on in the show, Randy would have, I think when they came back from commercial after this, Randy Orton was interviewed, and the guy asks him, I think it was Mike Rome, I guess, asks him, is Ty Dillinger the next victim? And Randy just goes, no, I think what it boils down to is that perfect 10 crap just pisses me off. And this was just so pro wrestling that you're beating, you beat someone up because this perfect 10 crap pisses me off.
Like old school days.
I liked this. Orton is great in this role.
He's a perfect heel.
It's been too long since we've gotten the nice heel Randy Orton that we've been covered with this bland Orton babyface nonsense.
And we need heel Orton back.
And he's done great with it.
Oh yeah, he has.
Okay, so then we had Becky against Lana.
And for those keeping up at home, this is match number 5. The only 5 matches of the whole night.
And most of them, I can't even remember all of them now, but I know that the Naomi Asuka tag team match was short. Yeah. This match was short. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. There was 6 matches because I forgot the... Oh, no, that was Raw.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Okay, so... Then you had the Big E and Sheamus match, which was at least a decent length, I guess.
Yeah, it was a decent length.
But this one was quick. Becky schools Lana, beats her with the disarmor.
Amazing.
And the whole crowd is chanting Milwaukee throughout this match. Like, they were so into that storyline. It was awesome. And you get Aiden, who's watching on television in the back, and the interviewer asks Aiden about it, and Aiden says that he has video evidence of Lana's night in Milwaukee, and that he's going to present it next week.
See, that makes me think we're going to have another Cena AJ Lee storyline.
I don't particularly remember that one.
Oh, guess somebody has some homework to do.
Yeah, but what I feel like will probably happen is that he'll have some sort of video of just, like, Lana walking into a hotel room or something, but it's an indecisive sort of thing.
Well, that's all it was Cena and AJ Lee. They had video of her walking into his hotel room when he answers the door.
Okay.
And that was it.
So, yeah, you kind of have an indecisive, but... Or maybe it could be something completely different. I don't know what they're building to.
Interesting to find out.
I'm not going to speculate too much because it'll just be fun to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I can't see him doing that same angle like Cena and AJ when it wasn't that great to begin with.
Yeah. So we had the main event here, which was set to be AJ Styles and Samoa Joe signing the contract for their Super Showdown match.
Yeah.
Paige and AJ make their way to the ring, and Paige introduces Samoa Joe, but no Joe is to be found. AJ starts cutting the promo that, of course he's not here, he's a coward, and, he says he'll probably try to attack me from behind, and he looks behind him, no Joe, and eventually Samoa Joe pops up on the Titantron, and he's doing a handheld sort of phone camera promo.
Yeah.
And AJ's just like, oh, there he is.
I found him.
Yeah, and Joe is just walking through a neighborhood, and he's cutting a promo on AJ, and he gets to what we've all been waiting for, where he shows up at AJ Styles' house. And do you know how we knew it was AJ Styles' house?
Could it be the big black mailbox that said Styles?
Yeah. Like it was straight out of the 1950s, where everyone had their name on their mailbox.
Yeah, or could it be because AJ said, hey, that's my mailbox?
And in even more 50s fashion, Joe even points out, "Oh, look at this nice white picket fence.
Yeah.
You've done pretty well for yourself here, AJ." And, AJ's acting here was questionable. I don't want to give him too much crap, but what he says into the mic, he's just like, "Oh, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Stop it."
Knowing this is a video and not like a two-way conversation.
Yeah.
But AJ's playing it off like it is.
Yeah, I think they wanted you to think that.
Yeah.
But
like they're on Skype or something.
Yeah, obviously it was a pre-tape. But Joe comes to the door and he's still cutting the promo on AJ. And what I loved about this so much is that Samoa Joe is smiling ear to ear throughout this whole promo.
Yeah.
And it made me want to see a horror movie starring Samoa Joe, honestly.
Like See No Evil 3.
Please, no. Don't make it be a WWE film.
Oh.
Do like an actual horror film.
Oh, well, you didn't say that.
But Joe gets to the door, and, he says to Styles, that feeling that you're feeling right now, helpless and all that, that's how you're going to feel when I beat you for the WWE Championship at Super Showdown.
Yep.
And Samoa Joe just goes, "Should I just let myself in?" And then he goes, "No, that would be impolite.
Yeah.
I'll ring the doorbell."
Yeah. And then nothing.
And then he says, "Daddy's home." And that's how we go off air.
I think it would have been great if AJ's wife would have just opened the door, slapped him, and shut the door.
Nah.
Just for comedic value.
This was so perfect.
Yeah,
because it ended on the heights of the emotional roller coaster, sort of. Because you don't see what happens after, you just see that Samoa Joe's entering AJ's house. And that was the perfect point to end this.
Yeah,
and
it was.
I'm curious how you follow up on it next week, because next week will be the go-home show to their match at Super Showdown. So I wonder what they're going to do, what they're going to say happens, if they're going to have any sort of video of it.
More than likely, they'll have a contract signing and fight in the ring.
That would be so lame after this. But
if you think about it, the same thing they did with Joe going to AJ's house, they kind of did the same thing with Triple H and Randy Orton years ago.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, how
when Triple H threw Randy through the window.
Yeah, Randy was actually at his house, though.
Yeah.
And they have his wife and kids there just looking scared.
Yeah.
But Triple H just beats down on Orton. And I remember he throws him through the window, and the cops show up.
Yeah, then they actually cops come and actually arrest him.
Yeah.
Back when everything looked real.
Yeah, back in the good
Attitude Era.
No, that was post Attitude Era.
Was it post?
Yeah, that was around 2007, I think.
I thought it was older than that.
No, it wasn't that old, because I remember watching it when it actually happened.
Oh yeah, so do I. That's why I just didn't think it would have been. I thought it was longer.
Yeah, but I wasn't watching live when it happened most of the Attitude Era.
Gotcha.
So that's how I know.
Well, there's the age difference. I've been watching since WrestleMania 1.
Yeah. So that was pretty much SmackDown, though. Top to bottom, I thought this was a really great show, and it didn't deliver as far as wrestling matches, which is unfortunate. That's the only thing that really kept this from being a fantastic show, was just one really good match. But all the angles they set up and everything in between there, it gives you reason to be excited for next week, which I think is the ultimate goal in any show. So I thought it succeeded in that.
I really didn't think about it like that, but they only have a week and a half to really set up for another pay-per-view.
Yeah, right after Super Showdown.
They can't really have match after match and not set something up because there's no time.
Yeah, they have to work on the angles right now.
And I didn't think about that while I was watching SmackDown. Because that's why I put in my notes that there was way too many promos and video packages and such. But I didn't think that, they've got the Super Showdown in just a week and a couple days, so they have to set everything up.
Yeah. And, they still could have done something better for a wrestling match, but, I can't complain about this. I thought this was a B+ show.
Really?
Maybe an A-, really.
Wow. You see, I'm gonna have to go a C.
I think that's too low.
Well, I watch a wrestling show to watch wrestling.
Yeah, and
I don't watch a wrestling show to watch interviews.
Yeah, I get that, but everything delivered for me. And, I agree with you but for me, that was the only thing from holding it from being an A+ show, was just being that there wasn't a great wrestling match or anything like that.
Now, if they would have had, out of the 5 matches, if 2 of them would have been great, like showstopper matches, yeah, it'd be an A+ show.
Yeah.
But, 2 or 3 squash matches out of 5 is ridiculous.
Yeah. But that is all we have time for. We've went
12
probably
hours.
Around 2 hours at this point, which is shorter than I expected it to be, honestly.
Actually, yeah.
But we are on YouTube, Podbean, and now we are also on iTunes and Google Play. I will have the links for all those in the description. I implore you all to please just, if you are on iTunes, take the time to leave a 5-star rating and review. It helps us grow very much.
And you'll get a shout out on the air.
And if you write a review, we'll read it out here on the air.
If it's good. I don't want no bad reviews out there on the air.
Yeah, we'll read all the 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
Give it the old Dave Meltzer 5 stars.
5 star, 5 star, 5 star.
Yes.
5 star, 5 star. Had to get it out there.
Well, thank you all for listening. Until next week, we are signing off.
Have fun. Wrestle you later.
Did you hear the news? Metro PCS is now Metro by T-Mobile. Now you get new plans with unlimited high-speed data all month long, all on the T-Mobile network. Check out the new Metro by T-Mobile today and discover the smarter way to get unlimited. Metro by T-Mobile. That's genius. During congestion, the fraction of customers using greater than 35 gigs per month may notice reduced speeds, and Metro customers may notice reduced speeds versus some T-Mobile customers. Video streams at 480p. Coverage not available in some areas. See store for details and terms and conditions.